Alright, I think we're all good to go here. I'm wearing my hoodie for this because summer is over and autumn is proven to be quite cold. It's starting to be quite cold. Anyway, either that or I just have the AC on in here too much. I've turned it off now. But, yeah, let's just get going. Yeah. So, unpopular opinions. We all have them. We all disagree with each other on different things every now and again. Very rarely are there things like movies or TV shows or video games that everyone in the whole world universally agrees is either 100% good or 100% bad. And I am certainly like that with a lot of things, particularly with the Mario franchise. There are aspects of this series that a lot of people really love and I myself do not. And conversely, there are things about this series that people don't like, but I kinda do. And that's kind of what this whole video is about. And for the record, I'm not treating any of this as cold, hard facts. These are all just opinions. And I'm kind of taking a page from the book of Trailer Drake, well now Comic Drake more so, because years ago he used to do a lot of videos talking about his unpopular opinions on a lot of different things. And I always thought that was a very interesting concept to utilize for a video, so now I'm going to try and do the same thing. But this isn't just going to be my unpopular Mario-related opinions. I also opened up an Unpopular Mario Opinions text channel in my Discord server, and I'm going to be looking at a couple of those and sort of giving my take on them, see if I agree or disagree with them. If this intro seems kind of last minute and rushed, that's because I sort of wasn't planning on filming a video today, but I figured I might as well, because the idea just came to me and I figured, yeah, that might be fun to do. Oh, also, before we get started, I just put out a time-lapse video showcasing the editing process for my previous video, which was about the Donkey Kong arcade games, but that video is only going to be available to my Patreon supporters and my channel members. So, if you're not a Patreon supporter or a channel member, don't worry, it's only $1 a month, so if you'd like to see that video or any other exclusive stuff that I decide to put out, the link to my Patreon is in the description, and there's also a join button down there if you want to become a channel member. It's optional, you don't have to if you don't want to, but in the future I plan on putting out more exclusive videos like that hopefully might be interesting to some people, so if that seems interesting to you, then give that a look. And, yeah, enough self-promotion. Let's go ahead and get on with this video. Now, my first unpopular Mario-related opinion relates to a very recent announcement that was made. Now, for those that don't know, I have a series on this channel where I basically talk about different news stories and rumors and speculation related to the upcoming animated Super Mario Bros. Movie by Illumination. And recently, Nintendo officially announced the voice cast for the film, for the English version anyway. And I don't entirely hate it. I don't entirely hate the voice cast. I know there are people online who've just been memeing the crap out of it, just like calling it cursed or cringe or whatever kids are saying these days. And even some people who aren't even Mario fans to begin with are saying things like Chris Pratt should not be voicing this character. And I'll admit, my first reaction to the announcement was a mix of confusion and also hysterical laughter just out of the sheer irony of it all. But the more I thought about it, and I even say it in my most recent movie update, when you look at the history of the movie and you look at the rumors and the speculation, and when you really think about the qualities that the actors possess, the casting does kind of make sense to some degree. There was a report a long time ago that indicated the tone of the movie was going to be more based on the Super Mario Adventures comics, which, if you haven't read them, first off, shame on you. Go buy the book and read them. They're amazing. But second, The tone of those comics is very wacky and comical, but it still kind of takes itself a little seriously when it needs to. And that particular tone I always felt was very fitting for a universe like Mario's. And going back to qualities of each of the actors, Chris Pratt does have kind of these heroic and also fun-loving and carefree qualities that Mario also possesses in those comics. And Charlie Day is known for playing very erratic characters, so him playing a character like Luigi makes a lot of sense. And particularly Jack Black, knowing how much of a presence he is and how much he just demands your attention and how theatrical and insane he is. For him to play Bowser, like the Super Mario Adventures version of Bowser, it's absolutely perfect. It's understandable for people to have concerns, like maybe this is going to be too much of a Hollywoodified version of Mario. But again, with people like Shigeru Miyamoto on board, clearly he must have seen something in these actors that he thought was appropriate for his characters. So at this point, I'm just going to remain optimistic and see what comes of the movie. And yeah, I would have liked to see Charles Martinet come back and play his characters, but to give Illumination and Chris Meledandri credit, they at least were courteous enough to give Charles Martinet the opportunity to appear in surprise cameos in the movie, and they didn't have to do that, but it was pretty cool of them to do that. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they incorporate Charles into the movie. So yeah, the Mario movie cast I don't entirely hate. I think they're going to be fine, and I'm just going to remain optimistic and see what comes of it. Okay, this one might be a little unpopular with some groups of people, but in my opinion, Rosalina is not a great character anymore. It's very important. That anymore is very important. Now, when Rosalina first debuted in Super Mario Galaxy, they gave her this really beautifully tragic and deep backstory that you can read in the library in the Comet Observatory, and it was so moving, but so sad as well, and it gave her these layers that no other Mario character possessed up to that point, and it made her so interesting and so captivating as well. It made you really want to help her and the Lumas get all the Power Stars back so they can bring power back to their home. And then, like a year later, she became a playable character in Mario Kart Wii. But since it was so early in her introduction period, I didn't really mind it personally, because at the time I was just like, oh, it's that cool space girl from Super Mario Galaxy, awesome. But by the time we got to Super Mario 3D World, and they decided to add her as an unlockable character after completing, I think it was the first stage of the first special world, or something like that. At the time, it just made me angry, because it was during that period where 3D World wasn't Galaxy 3, so I was just sort of obligated to hate it. Nowadays, I think the game is fine. Not one of my personal favorites, but one aspect of the game that I still don't really like a whole lot is Rosalina's inclusion. From that point onwards, all the layers and the backstory that was established in the Galaxy games was basically completely stripped away. And now she was just nothing more than another princess character alongside Peach and Daisy, and nothing really made her stand out in a way that made her as interesting as she used to be. The one appearance I didn't really mind all that much was in Super Smash Bros., but seeing her in like Mario Tennis and Mario Golf and all these other spin-offs, in my opinion, it just makes her feel less special. Hashtag not my Rosalina. Now, they kind of did the same thing with Pauline after Super Mario Odyssey, because after that game, she started appearing in the spin-offs as well, like in Mario Tennis Aces and now Mario Golf Super Rush. But Pauline is different because she wasn't really that much of an interesting character to begin with. Giving her those layers in Odyssey, like making her the mayor and also a singer, those aspects that were introduced in Odyssey are still a part of her character even in the spin-offs. With Rosalina, she sort of lost that level of authority that she had in Galaxy, and again, with her backstory basically being ignored now, she's just another princess. Maybe it's just me being petty and complaining, but I just feel like Rosalina is not really a great character anymore. And it's kind of sad, really. I think I'm going to give one more of my unpopular opinions before I go into my Discord server and read what other people have to say. The last one I have to share is, in my opinion, the Mario Party games didn't really start getting enjoyable for me until Mario Party 9. That's definitely controversial among Mario Party fans, because, you know, the ND Cube era starting with Mario Party 9 and continuing to 10, and the 3DS spin-offs, it's not particularly popular, but I was never really that big into the Mario Party series to begin with, and that's for a very specific reason. Well, with Mario Party in general, I was always more interested in the minigames, because the board game aspect never really appealed to me as much, even when I would play with friends. Like, there was supposed to be this big competitive aspect to it that made it more enjoyable, but honestly, it really just did not strike a chord with me. But whenever we got to the minigames, that's where it got the most fun. But the problem is, with the Hudson era Mario Party games, the minigames would not readily be made available to you from the start, and the only way you could unlock them was by playing the board game, which, again, was my least favorite aspect of Mario Party. And there would be times during the board game where, you know, like, get that roulette wheel, and it would land on a game that you would already unlock, which was just even more annoying. It's kind of like in Dr. Mario World or Mario Kart Tour, where, you know, when you try to unlock characters and there's that gacha system, where most of the time you wouldn't get the characters you really wanted. You would just end up getting the same characters you already unlocked, but they would just level up a little bit. The Mario Party games were kind of like that for me, and it was just not really all that fun. But with Mario Party 9, they changed it so that a majority of the minigames were already unlocked from the beginning, and they compromised by making it so that you could play the board game to unlock the boss battle games, because the boss battle games would be locked off from the start, and you would have to play the board game to unlock them. That I thought was a very good compromise, and that's kind of why I have such a big soft spot for Mario Party 9. A lot of people really don't like that game, or Mario Party 10 for that matter, but I always liked those two games in particular because I just had so much fun with the minigames, because I was allowed to have fun with the minigames. And yeah, the board game still wasn't that great, but at least I could play the minigames from the start. I don't know, am I just a misinformed cuck? I don't know. There is the thing, a lot of minigames are sort of recycled from other Mario Party games, but the older games also sort of recycled the same minigame concepts here and there. So, that's Mario Party is as Mario Party does. I will say though, I really enjoyed the direction that Super Mario Party took, where they sort of combined aspects of the ND Cube era of Mario Party and the Hudson era so that they could appeal to different kinds of players. Also, at this point, Mario Party Superstars hasn't come out yet. I don't really know what to expect from that. I know that it's going to be sort of a combination of different boards from the Mario Party 64 era, and it's going to have 100 minigames from all across the series. Basically, what Mario Party Top 100 was trying to be, I guess. But I'm gonna wait and see what that game has in store. Well, did I lose any viewers yet? Probably. So let's just go ahead and move on to my Discord server. So the first one I see is from Nick. Honestly, I prefer Super Mario Galaxy 1 to the sequel. While yes, the second game has better level design and is technically a better game, the atmosphere and feelings the first one gives me can't be matched. And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. This is an argument that I see a lot online. Nowadays, it doesn't really matter to me because, from my perspective, both games are absolutely fantastic. So you can play either one of them and still get an incredible experience, no matter what. But I can see why people would prefer the first game over the second one, because the first game might seem more like a cohesive experience, or more like a traditional 3D Mario, because Galaxy 2 does sort of take more 2D approaches, because it has the world map, and the galaxies are separated into different worlds, and they're not really tied into any particular theme related to that world. For me, though, I thought it added a great sense of mystery. Like, you didn't really know exactly what you were going to get. And there was sort of this arcade-like quality that I felt like the first one didn't really have. The first one, in comparison, I felt was more traditional, whereas Galaxy 2, I thought was much more refreshing and exciting. And I also might be a bit biased because I do have more of a personal connection to Galaxy 2 than I do with the first one. If you've seen my history with Mario video, there should be... Oh wait, this is mirrored. There should be a card up there to take you there. I keep getting... I'm filming this on my phone with the inward-facing camera, so it's mirrored right now. So when I point here, I realize in editing the card's actually going to be over there. So... yeah, that's a thing. Let's see what Virtual Colin says. Oh, he's actually got a couple. I personally think Yoshi's Island and Galaxy 1 are overrated. Yoshi's Island, the first world, is pretty solid, but the rest of the game is pretty frustrating and not really well designed. Mario Galaxy, I acknowledge it's a good game, but it just feels extremely repetitive, and rarely did I ever feel like I was having fun. On a more positive note, I actually prefer Sunshine to Mario 64. 64 is a classic, don't get me wrong, but I found Sunshine such a fun game from how the game controls, the setting, and the levels are also really fun to explore. I can at least say Sunshine is a more fun game to just play through than Mario 64, just not getting 100%. Mario 64 is definitely a better game to complete. Alright, you had me there. I don't really have a solid opinion on Yoshi's Island, so I can't really agree or disagree with that. But with Galaxy, I can see what you mean when you say it feels repetitive. A lot of the galaxies are sort of similar in terms of how they're structured, in terms of like how you progress through them. I wouldn't say it's extremely repetitive because there is still some variety in terms of like the world design. And I know there are some people out there who have a problem with Galaxy because of the sort of spherical level design and the camera moving around. It just sort of makes them feel disoriented or gives them motion sickness. I know that's a problem some people have with it. As for Sunshine, oh, this is this is tough. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that I'll disagree with this. Respectfully disagree, mind you. These are just opinions. Sunshine does have good parts. For me anyway, it just doesn't feel as solid. And in my opinion, it kind of takes a couple steps backwards from 64. Especially with how much more boxed in it is, and how much less, I guess explorative is the right word, because with 64, you can basically get the power stars in any order you want. You weren't confined to just going from one mission to another. Whereas with Sunshine, you couldn't really get very far without having to fight Shadow Mario in like the 7th mission of each world. And you also weren't as open to getting shine sprites out of order than you were with 64, because with Sunshine, the game was pretty strict with how you were able to collect the shine sprites. It seemed like you had to get them in a very specific order, and very few missions had it so that you could get shine sprites from one mission within another one. Well, at least we can agree that Sunshine is not very fun to complete 100%. It gets incredibly frustrating, so it's almost traumatizing. Anyway, oh, okay, let's see what Amy Spaghetti has to say. People say they want Bowser's Fury to point towards the future of Mario, and I kinda liked what Odyssey did more. I think the open sandbox Mario should be about the crazy stuff you can do with movement by chaining different actions together. Basically, like, I don't think Course Clear and open sandbox Mario should be merged as the future of Mario. I think both things should be separate most of the time. I like what the merged version is, I just don't like the idea of getting rid of the two on their own. Yeah, I definitely agree that you should not get rid of either of them, and I do agree with what you had to say about open sandbox Marios. One thing I really loved about 64, and especially Odyssey as well, they didn't really rely so much on power-ups. Well, Odyssey had like the capture system, so you could possess different enemies and use their abilities to your advantage. But most of the time, when it comes to the platforming, in Odyssey's case, the sections where Cappy isn't available to you, and in Sunshine with the obstacle courses where you didn't have FLUDD. That's the kind of 3D Mario platforming I really love, where you had to rely more on your platforming skills than conventional power-ups. But personally, I'm not really against the idea of sort of merging that sandbox style with what Bowser's Fury basically did. It wasn't like 3D Land or 3D World, where they were basically 2D Mario games but just in a 3D space. With Bowser's Fury, it was an open sandbox experience, but you could still use power-ups like the Fire Flower and the Super Leaf and stuff like that. But even with Bowser's Fury, I feel like, for me, there's a sense that like you didn't necessarily have to rely on power-ups all the time. Well, obviously, there are sections where power-ups are basically required, like the Super Bell or the cat suit or whatever. Now, I do prefer 3D Marios that are more focused on platforming, and I think using the traditional power-ups is fine with the 2D games, but I thought what they did with Bowser's Fury was pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind seeing another game of that style just expanded on. But I also wouldn't mind if they continued in the direction of Odyssey. At this point, they can go either way, and I'll eat it up, because I am desperate for something new at this point. Okay, I just remembered while I was filming this video that I came across a subreddit of unpopular Mario opinions that I also wanted to give attention to. So let's see if we can find some good ones. Okay, here we go. This is an old subreddit, but I'm still going to read it anyway. This is from Tigert. Having numbered lives, 1-ups, and game over screens was necessary for arcade games, but should not be a thing on a home console experience. By continuing to include them, Nintendo was clinging to an archaic mechanic just for the sake of tradition, which makes the games less fun than they would be without it. Rayman Origins and Legends are good examples of how this should work in the current era. Yeah, I do agree that extra lives and game overs are kind of an archaic mechanic. It's weird, especially like with 3D World being ported so recently, especially after Odyssey. To go back to an experience that relied a lot on extra lives and game overs was kind of jarring. But obviously Nintendo understands that extra lives and game overs are kind of archaic, because with Super Mario Odyssey, there really are no lives or game overs, because whenever you die, they just take 10 coins away. And even when you don't have any coins to spare, you still don't really ever see a game over screen. But still, there are games that have like a live system and a game over system, and it is very archaic, and it should be done away with. This one should be simple. This is from Narrow Hips Are Sexy. Well, that's how you feel. They just said, Mario games need more lore and storytelling. Well, if you want that, just play an RPG, because there's tons of them. Oh wow, okay. Let's see what Nay the Wonder Horse says. Super Paper Mario had an overly complicated mess of a story that only includes Mario characters for the sake of it. The fact that Mario is even part of the story is almost entirely irrelevant and pointless. Even Luigi, the guy everyone claims is the best part of the story, is again in there for the sake of it. Consider this, they completely changed Luigi's character for most of the game because regular Luigi wouldn't work for what they wanted the story to be. And they completely lost track of many of the things that make the Mario series so charming, with super half-assed generic enemies that are completely forgettable. Seriously, half of them look like they were designed by third graders and touched up a bit. These characters were a clear deviation from the norm of the franchise and was such a huge step in the already crazy saturated Mario universe. Do we really need 7 or 8 new species/types of poorly designed enemies? Not really. We'll never see any of the characters from that game again. Which in my opinion legitimizes Miyamoto's decision to wipe the slate clean character-wise in Sticker Star. We really didn't need so many new designs for the sake of it. There's plenty of roles you can throw at the types of characters that already exist. Also, the Tippy storyline isn't sad or remotely interesting, it is just kind of weird, really cringy and schlocky. I'm sorry. Wow. Oh, goodness. There's a lot to unpack here. I can understand what you mean when you say Super Paper Mario's story is kind of complicated and a bit messy, but I don't necessarily agree that it only includes Mario characters for the sake of it, because Mario, Peach, Bowser, and Luigi, they're in the Light Prognosticus as the chosen heroes of light to fight Count Bleck. This was posted 4 years ago, so I'm not sure how recently this person played Super Paper Mario, but the whole light versus dark story is completely built around those characters. Of course they changed Luigi's character for most of the game. I think he spends more time in the game as normal Luigi than he does Mr. L. And when you say they completely lost track of the things that make the Mario series so charming, I really don't agree with that at all. Because, in my opinion, Super Paper Mario just does what the other Paper Mario games did, and if you're calling all the new characters unique to this game super half-assed and generic and completely forgettable, look at these designs, man! I mean, have you ever seen anything like this in a Mario game before? Would you have really wanted to see generic Goombas or generic Koopa Troopas or any other generic enemy take the spotlight over these creations? And yes, they are a clear deviation from the norm of the franchise, but that's kind of what makes the Paper Mario games so unique. The fact that they have these completely original characters, and the fact that they have backstories and personalities that you don't see in characters from most of the other games. And yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of roles that you can throw at characters that already exist, but the question is, do you really need to? Because if you just give different types of character roles to pre-existing characters, like Toads or Goombas or whatever, at some point there's going to be a lack of variety because you're just seeing the same kinds of characters over and over again, but just with different design aspects. And they weren't just creating new species or characters for the sake of it. They were creating new species and characters that could only exist in the Paper Mario universe. Now, Paper Mario has had pre-existing Mario characters take on different kinds of roles, and I know you're trying to give Miyamoto credit for doing away with original characters, but when you look at Sticker Star and Color Splash, you see just how much those games lack in variety. Those games are just flooded with Toads and Goombas and characters we've seen before, so that takes away sort of the uniqueness. Because if you take away characters like Tippy or Count Bleck or Dementia or the Shadow Sirens or Grotus or Dupless, Paper Mario games might as well just be regular Mario games with different skins. And that's not what Paper Mario should be. I honestly was not expecting to get so heated over this one particular post, but I don't know, I guess it just bothers me a little bit because this guy is basically just criticizing Super Paper Mario for doing something that the other Paper Mario games have done and something that makes those games so special to begin with. It's okay if they don't like Super Paper Mario because of the deviations it makes from the first two games, but I sort of get the feeling that they haven't really played Super Paper Mario. Maybe they just sort of watched gameplay videos of it. Okay, this is from Cracklino. I don't know if that's right, but let's see what they said. I think 2D Mario games are too difficult. No joke, I've tried again and again and again to beat Mario 1 and have never succeeded. Zelda 2 is easier, and I've platinumed nearly every Souls game except Bloodborne, working on it now. Dark Souls is easier than Mario 1 to me. Okay, I respect your opinion, but if you think Zelda 2 and Dark Souls are easier than the original Super Mario Brothers, I'm sorry, but you must really suck at video games. I guess, like, the older 2D Marios might be difficult for some because they do play very differently from, like, the new Super Mario Brothers games, for example. But really? You think Dark Souls is easier than Super Mario Brothers? Wow. I really don't know how I'm going to recover from this. Super Mario Brothers is like one of the easiest games ever. I'm sorry, I might need a minute. This is just...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they...
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night.
Alright, I think I'm going to stop here because I've gone on for over an hour and a half, and honestly my brain still does kind of hurt from trying to process the Dark Souls being easier than Mario 1 thing. What is wrong with you? If you have any unpopular Mario opinions of your own, feel free to put them down there in the comments section. Let me know if you agree with any of my opinions, or any of the opinions of the people in my Discord server, or the opinions of these people on the Reddit thread that's over 4 years old now, so I'm not sure if it really matters, but I thought it'd be fun to read them. And as always, I'd like to give a very special thank you to my superstar supporters, Red Rack, Henry Newman, Rachel Rodriguez, and Jake Winans. If you'd like to support me as well, then please consider pledging to my Patreon page, or become a channel member by clicking the join button down there. Membership options give you the same options as my Patreon, where you get access to exclusive content for as little as $1 a month. You get to see videos like this before they come out. You get to read all the scripts to my videos, and you also get some special shoutouts. These aren't mandatory, so if you don't want to support me on Patreon, or you're not able to, or you're not able to become a channel member, or again, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but they are there if you're curious enough to give them a look. And before I go, I also want to mention that this is most likely going to be the last summer of Mario video that I do for this year, because I've already started working on my Christmas special, and you're thinking, it's October, you're already working on your Christmas special? Well, yes, because it's a pretty big one. I'll reveal sometime later what it's going to be, but if you've been following me long enough, you can probably guess what it's going to be. It's not a newer game. It's not going to be anything recent. It's going to be focused on a subject that a lot of people have been wanting me to cover, a Mario-related subject that people have been wanting me to cover for a very long time, especially since I did the Paper Mario games, the first 3 ones for Summer of Mario 2019. It's a subject that's come up a lot in comments, and I've held off on it, but yeah, I'm finally going to get to it for this Christmas. Hopefully I'll be able to get the video finished in time. It's gonna be pretty big, but if I can't, I'll probably make it like a New Year's Day special or something like that. But just so you know, that's gonna be where most of my attention is going. And for the month of November, I'll try to squeeze out the Mario 3 episode of Super Smash 3DS Revisited, just to hold you guys over until the Christmas video comes out. So that's sort of my plan going forward. So as always, links to my Discord server and social media are in the description. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like and leave a comment, because that plays into the algorithm, I guess. And if you want to be notified of future uploads, then don't forget to ring the notification bell down there as well. So, yeah, with that said, this is Mark, bidding you all smashing farewell. Ow, that actually kind of hurt. Alright, see ya.